Welcome to Unboxing the Past series of Cinemaazi. In today's episode, let's unbox records from the Gramophone era. During the later half of the 19th century, the idea of recording sound was attracting many young minds. Interestingly, Thomas Edison, who was nearly deaf, and Graham Bell, a deaf educator, initiated the journey of sound recording. Thomas Edison patented phonograph in 1877, and by 1880, Graham Bell's laboratory introduced Gramophone. These machines would physically trace and read the sound vibrations through a stylus etched on a wax-coated cardboard cylinder, which got amplified through speakers to produce audio. But Emile Berliner made a breakthrough by making a flat disc which could record sound using a horizontal modulation of the stylus. By 1886, he patented the gramophone on which these discs could be played. The versatility of etching sound horizontally caught the attention of investors, and thus Berliner established the Gramophone Company Limited, along with F.W. Geisberg, a sound producer. Edison's phonograph reached Calcutta in 1878, primarily to be used by the British military. Few wealthy Indian elites such as H.M. Bose acquired the phonograph and began recording his friends in a leisurely fashion. He then also ventured in the business of cylinder records under the banner of H. Bose and Records. Even though experiments were made to record Indian voices like that of Bholanath, Dr. Harnam Das and Ahmed in London, it was only in 1902, upon the arrival of F.W. Geisberg, that the recording expedition in India started. Female singers from the castes of Nautch girls were trained for gramophone recording. Soshi Mukhi and Funny Bala are considered the first two singers to be recorded. But later, Gauhar Jan of Calcutta recorded around 500 records and came to be known as the Gramophone Girl. H. Bose's Records emerged as an indigenous recording company, but during the Bengal partition agitation, his setup was sealed and destroyed as they released numerous political speeches, one of them being Vande Mataram by Rabindranath Tagore. The recording medium changed from rubber to zinc to wax and then to shellac. Shellac records became very popular and continued to be used for 78 RPM for the next 80 years. During the British times, India was the single largest supplier of lac, from which the shellac was processed. The easy accessibility of raw material for records in India helped in setting up a record pressing plant in 1908, which was locally known as Baja Khana in Shalda, Calcutta. In 1901, the Gramophone Company created a record label by the name His Master's Voice, HMV, in London. Within a decade, the trademark of gramophone dog, nipper, made its first appearance on Indian record label, and HMV established its business in India. In 1920, music also became a part of radio programs. A wide variety of music could be heard by listeners at the convenience of their homes. The popularity of gramophones and radio broadcasting had laid the foundation for the modern music industry, which created a great demand for 78 RPM records. But soon, the Second World War slowed down the production of new shellac records, since the lac was being used in explosives by the military for war. Sound had just come to films in Indian cinema, and experiments were being done to market the music. One of the first 78 RPM records of film songs was from the Hindi film Madhuri, released in 1932. Apart from film music, Swadeshi brands like Young India Records started recording speeches of Subhash Chandra Bose and Jawaharlal Nehru. In spite of much resistance from the British, Indu Bala recorded songs to spark nationalist sentiments within the people. K.L. Sehgal, Surinder Kanan Bala and Master Nisar were a few prominent singers who popularized records during this period. Due to the change in recording system from acoustic to electrical recording system and the newly formed habit of listening music from records created a huge demand for records in the market. The American company RCA Victor and Columbia started developing new formats of discs, but they did not get a favorable response from the market because of the economic crisis after Great Depression and the World War. The Gramophone Company and the Columbia Record Company merged to form the Electrical and Musical Industries Limited, EMI. A new disc launched by Columbia in 1948 made of plastic called vinyl gave a second chance to the record industry. These discs had a longer play time since the sound was etched in the micro grooves. By the 50s, EMI launched 33 1/3 RPM long playing records, 7-inch 45 RPM single and 7-inch 45 RPM extended play. These LP formats revolutionized the music industry once again. It allowed the recording of complex musical compositions and had a longer playing time. In India, classical performers who were earlier apprehensive about condensing their work for a shorter time in 78 RPM were now willing to get recorded. By 1958, the Gramophone Company started LP production in India. It began recording a variety of audios like film music, morning and evening ragas, lectures by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan and Dr. Zakir Hussain. Western pop and rock music were also released in India. A great cultural exchange between India and the West set the stage for counterculture in the 60s. However, the monopoly of HMV changed in 1968 when Germany's Polydor launched an Indian subsidiary with a pressing plant in Bombay. Polydor had secured exclusive contracts for the release of new film soundtracks. In the 70s, film soundtracks were the top sellers and the Gramophone Company scored gold certified sales for Raj Kapoor's Bobby Records. In 1975, Polydor became the first platinum certified record in India on the release of the Sholay soundtrack and dialogues. Few of the Bollywood films that had popular soundtracks released as LP records were Guide, Mughal-e-Azam, Sholay, Amar Akbar Anthony, Diwar and Kabhi Kabhi. Musicians like Ravi Shankar, Ali Akbar Khan, Bismillah Khan also recorded their music on LP records. As LPs became the dominant form of records, by late 70s the production of 78 RPMs discontinued. The ever-evolving recording industry once again changed in 80s with the coming of cassette tape and drastically dropped the sale of LPs. Cinemaazi has created a detailed video on the cassette tape which can be watched on our channel. Gramophone records ruled the recording industry for almost 80 years. Before music could be downloaded, its recording has covered a long journey from cylinders to 78 RPM LPs and EPs. These records have encapsulated the rich musical heritage of India and have played a vector in showcasing it to the world. However, very little is done to conserve and preserve these valuable treasures. This unboxing of records is an effort to bring back our attention towards them so that the musical heritage inscribed in these discs and grooves can be preserved. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe and comment, and support us in Patreon.